Welcome back to Zestology. This is the podcast all about energy, vitality and motivation. I'm Tony Wright and walking around West London, and I have just done a Zestology podcast first, and that is recorded a podcast in a sauna, in an infrared Sunlighten sauna to be precise. Really good actually. It's kind of a bit of a podcast social experiment. Can I make any sense at all sitting in a very hot room and trying to talk for kind of 35-40 minutes or so? You be the judge of how much sense I make in this particular podcast. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's hard to make sense when you're sitting in this hot room and trying to think what to say next. And it did get hot in there, but the Sunlighten saunas is not quite the same as a normal sauna. Being in an infrared sauna, it isn't quite as hot, and honestly at the moment I just feel energized, so let's see how we go. I've just stepped out into a very cold winter's day in London after having been in the very hot sauna, so yeah, I feel nice and energized, and we'll see how we go. So as you know, Zestology has been partnering up with Sunlighten Saunas for the last couple of months or so, and I've been threatening to record a podcast in a sauna. Now I've actually gone and done it, and Joie Risk, a definite friend of the show, good friend of mine as well, and we've been talking about recording a podcast in the infrared sauna to discuss the benefits of infrared saunas for quite some time. So yeah, I'm really pleased that we've finally done it, and it's kind of quite nice doing loads of different things at once, getting a nice little infrared sauna workout, relaxing in the sauna and recording a podcast at the same time. It did get quite hot though, so could I last the distance? Let's find out, and I hope that one of the things you will also find out in this podcast is the benefits of an infrared sauna. It's nice for loads of reasons. I found kind of the best reason is probably relaxation and sleep, and also detox as well. But there's definitely an element of the detox is really working well for me, and you'll hear more about that as well. And there's definitely an element of general wellness that I'm getting from my Oura Ring stats too. My heart rate and my heart rate variability seem to be quite significantly improved over the last few weeks and months, and I wonder how much of that is down to the sauna. So you'll hear more about that in the podcast. As always, thank you for listening to Zestology. I'll be back at the end of the show wandering around Richmond with a little bit more. But for now, let's, for the first time ever on Zestology, record a whole podcast in the infrared Sunlighten sauna and see if it works. I mean, it might or might not. It might be a revolutionary new concept, or it might be a one-off. But here is my good friend, and she's absolutely brilliant, and so are Sunlighten Saunas as well. Here is Joie Risk on Zestology. How are you? This is an interesting experiment.
It is. It's a very good use of time. Yeah. We're being very efficient in here.
It is. We're doing two things at once, but also I just think it's going to be really interesting to see how hot we can get recording a podcast.
I know.
And how much sense we're going to make.
Yes, towards the end. I mean, might start to drift off.
This is your thing, so I think you're going to be better than me at it.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
I might just be a gibbering, sweaty mess by the end of it.
I'll have to wheel you out.
But because I actually normally don't do as like a podcast's length in the sauna. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting my excuses in early.
Okay.
If people are listening to this and they just want to listen to a load of gibberish, then just fast forward through about 20 minutes and see what happens. But I think it's a nice environment to do a podcast, isn't it? It's nice.
We've got our light here, and it's super relaxed.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I mean, obviously, when I tell people about these saunas, they are really impressed at all the kind of the technical specifications and the way that you can detox and relax and do everything else. But when I tell them it's got Netflix in it, they're just like, they're all over it.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because it's a really good time to meditate, I find.
Yeah.
If you can't find time. I mean, I personally do my meditations. But the Netflix can be a bit distracting.
Yeah, because I've been meditating in it as well, actually. And I find that it's harder to meditate when you're really hot. So you have to focus a lot.
Well, I would do it at the beginning of your session.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously, I think towards the end is a little bit harder. But I tell you what, though, I just remembered on the way here that when I first started doing saunas, I used to have all my really creative ideas when I was in the sauna, which I found was really strange, but it, you know, that's how it worked.
Well, because also I suppose, like, if you're not using the Netflix, I mean, what we've actually been doing is not really using Netflix in it, but we've been either meditating or leaving a book, paper version, in the sauna and reading that, and that's quite nice because it's just a real chance to switch off.
Yeah, and I think it's a real, like, you know, there's a real stillness if you're in the sauna. And but I still find the meditation hard. I think maybe I need to I think a guided meditation in the sauna is easier. Yeah, because your mind can't drift off as much as if you're just repeating a mantra or something like that. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, enough of all this meditation talk. People are listening to this and thinking, why should I be getting in a sauna? And you are the perfect person to answer it. How did you get into saunas?
Okay, it's a long story, but I will try and summarize. A couple of years ago, I was doing a course at College of Naturopathic Medicine. Kind of wanted to do something different from the business work that I was doing, and I came across infrared saunas, and I'd just had my second child, and I'd had a bunch of testing done, and actually my functional medicine tests came up as super, super high of inflammation, which made sense because I was having a lot of problems losing weight. I felt very out of balance. My sleep was, you know, okay, as to be expected with a baby, not great, but I was, you know, going to a crazy place in my mind a little bit. And
what was the inflammation? I mean, how does that show up on a testing?
Well, actually, I mean, with these super functional medicine tests, they actually can show you levels of inflammation in the body, and it came up as really, really high. So
when you got that, were you kind of quite pleased that at least you had some evidence that you were it wasn't all in your head? Yeah. Sometimes when you get a test, it's like, oh yeah, I knew it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was shocked. I was extremely deficient in magnesium and zinc and other minerals, which explained, you know, some of what was going on. But you know, I was shocked, and I was quite concerned, so I was very keen to get it down, and obviously I was also very keen to lose some weight at the time. So I remembered my first ever infrared sauna session, and you know, there was a place near my house, and I walked out, and I remember this vividly, just feeling this sense of complete stillness and being at peace, and you know, my stress levels had completely plummeted. And I thought, wow, you know, what is this about? And
so was that when you left the sauna, or was that during the sauna, or when you walked down the street afterwards?
Yeah. Afterwards. You know, during this, I've always loved the heat. I'm Australian. I'm, you know, I can, you know, I absolutely love the heat while I'm in it, but it was definitely a feeling afterwards. And so I continued to go, and I became a little bit obsessed. And as I started to research more about infrared and what it was capable of in terms of healing, and, you know, worked quite well with my studies at the time, I went and researched all of the brands around the world, and went and met with them, and decided that there was something in this. And I had to learn more about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of research. You know, we were just talking before we started about the research around intermittent fasting, and there's a lot of podcasts that I listen to that constantly quoting the research on infrared saunas as well. There's and actually Sunlighten have done quite a lot of research into it as well, haven't they?
Yeah,
it's quite compelling, the amount of research in terms of the way that you can detox, for example, in an infrared sauna, and presumably you were kind of diving deep into all that.
Yeah, I mean, the first sort of things that I read was about the use of infrared in Japan, actually, and a therapy called Wei-on therapy, which just means soothing heat therapy, and how it was used for chronic heart conditions. And it had been used for quite some time, and I came across, you know, scientific study after scientific study of positive impacts on blood pressure, and on even cancer treatment, and obviously detoxification, and people with Lyme, and it was, you know, it was really, really compelling. And I took a trip out to Australia at the time, and you know, to my surprise, there were loads of places you could get an infrared sauna session in Australia, and as I looked further in the US as well, but it seemed that in the UK, it was, strangely not as well known. And I found that
so
really...
you're like, right, I like this so much, I'm gonna sell them.
Yeah, kind of. I think that I just really recognized that, for me, I felt as though it had such a huge impact in my life using it on a day-to-day basis, and I really felt that everyone would benefit from being in a sauna every day, and I still feel very strongly about that. But as well, people who are battling with all sorts of illnesses, it can have a measurable effect and a therapeutic effect on what they're going through.
We're definitely going to have to come on to the research around longevity, but I remember hearing about quite a few studies where people who do a certain amount of saunaing, I don't know if that's a word or not, per week, just live longer. I mean, that is the research. I'm not exaggerating there, am I?
Well, I'm not surprised because it's been used for people who are quite elderly who cannot exercise to get a great raise in their heart rate. But from what we know about infrared saunas, especially Sunlighten, is that it's going to reduce blood pressure. It's reducing your stress, which, let's face it, that on its own is going to make you live longer.
Joie, I've just had to interrupt you and switch to a different mode of recording. When I said to you originally, why don't we record a podcast in the sauna? That'd be really fun. I didn't think about all the kind of logistics, like would it melt on my equipment? I hope it doesn't melt. It is quite hot in here now.
It is.
But it should be. I mean, you take your phone into. Probably the official specifications say don't bring your laptop and your phone and your recording equipment in here.
You know what? I have taken my laptop in for meetings sometimes, or I've taken them in the sauna. It's actually a really good place to have a meeting. Yeah. But no, not advisable at all.
Yeah. Apart from the fact that I've got my phone in here now because my recording equipment has just run out of battery. So we'll see how we're going, but we're getting quite hot. Anyway, it's all part of the fun. We don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, in terms of longevity, you were convinced, you started looking into the research. And did you find that because you're obviously still doing your studies at the same time, but did you find on a personal level it really made a difference to you then?
Yeah, I mean, it made a huge difference. And when I say I became obsessed with infrared, I'm being serious. It had a huge impact on my life. I was able to, the thing I loved about it the most was that in the evenings I was then feeling sleepy, which is something that I had not felt for a long, long time. I felt, perhaps also that I'd been getting a lot of time of reflection and stillness into my life, which had been missing. I was feeling physically a lot better. And it's really that sort of trilogy of benefits that really got me hooked, because, and this is what I like to say to people, is that with the sauna you're getting body, mind and spirit in a way, and kind of beauty as well. So you're obviously getting the physiological benefits. Mentally you're able to switch off, and has a very big impact on your hormones, and as well as it's a bit of time to yourself, and you're sweating, so your skin is glowing afterwards. So it's a really good 3-in-1.
Because I remember when we first met and you were saying, look, one of the things that I've really noticed is the sleep. And I was thinking, brilliant, because I don't actually really struggle to sleep, apart from that I've got a baby who's kind of like waking me up every couple of hours. But I have really noticed since I go in, you just drop off so quick afterwards. It really does help with sleep. And actually everybody else says it about saunas as well, whether infrared or not.
Yeah, it's not something that I personally had noticed with a normal sauna. Maybe I wasn't looking out for it at the time, but I've really felt that with the infrared, it has a huge impact on sleep. And don't know where I was going with that. Probably have to delete it. I forgot my train of thought.
Just one thing that's going to be interesting about this today is that I'm going to Sky after this, and I'm working until midnight. So it might get to 11:30 and I'm just going to be like dropping off on air.
Oh no, okay.
So we'll see. But I don't think it makes you tired in the middle of the day, does it? It just helps you to kind of drop off. I think I've noticed that have a real depth of sleep after using the infrared sauna, which is really lovely.
Yes, and it's nice that I know that you've tested it with your aura.
Yes.
And the evidence is there.
Yeah.
But
you've got an aura ring on as well, haven't you?
I've got it on now.
How have you found your stats react to sauna sessions?
Oh, it's it's a direct correlation.
Is it?
Is it? Yeah, definitely.
That's great.
And it's great because it's something anecdotally that I felt very much.
Yeah.
Before. But it's nice to know that it's actually having a very positive impact on sleep, and I think that's part of the whole healing benefits of the sauna is that it's attacking people's health. That's a really wrong word to use, but it's it's impacting people's health positively from their heart health to then sleep, which has a knock-on effect.
It's quite interesting actually. I mean, I'm always aware that I'm a bit of an Oura ring bore because it's mainly Faith that I say, look at my Oura ring stats, you're not going to believe this. But actually it is quite interesting to be able to kind of track things. Like for instance, if I eat certain foods or if I eat late at night, my heart rate will go up overnight, and my heart rate variability will go down. But what I'm noticing at the moment is, and I wonder how much of this is spending time in the Sunlighten, my heart rate is the best it's ever been by quite some distance. In fact, when we finish this podcast, I'll show you. But it's gone down loads.
Right.
I mean, my overnight heart rate low is now like 44, and a year ago it's probably 54.
Oh wow!
So it's quite a lot. And I think some of that is probably a low histamine diet, and some of that is probably the sauna, and some of that is probably relaxing. Yeah. Those three things.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of heart health, it's there are studies about infrared and specifically Sunlighten about the positive impacts on blood pressure. And we have a clinical study which was done with the Sunlighten 3 times a week, and it was shown to reduce blood pressure in patients.
Wow.
So that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so in the US, we've had a very long-standing relationship with the American Heart Association, and it's the biggest killer in the US, and same in the UK.
Yeah.
So I think if from a preventative perspective, it's a no-brainer.
Well, because not only is it kind of helping you to detox and helping things to kind of clear out, but it also actually just gets your heart rate up.
Yeah.
I mean, on a day where you can't work out, in the sauna, it's quite nice, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, my heart rate is definitely up right now. I'm bloody hot right now, I'm not going to lie. But I just want to go back to you. So we can geek out about Oura ring stats in a second. And that's great that you're seeing a direct correlation between your Oura ring stats and when you use the sauna and how you're feeling and everything else. But then you just decided this is the business I'm going to work in. Yeah.
So as I said, I met with pretty much every brand that was out there, and there are a lot. And I met with then I finally came across Sunlighten by chance, and I met with Aaron and Connie, the founders, and tried a Sunlighten, and that was it. I was really blown away by how advanced technologically the saunas are, and as well as how safe they are. And Sunlighten's a company that is well beyond its years in terms of technology, as well as making sure that the saunas are safe to use. And at the moment it's not a regulated industry, but that will change in time. And then we met, and I think after going back and forth quite a bit, we realized that there's a really great relationship between us, and we're both very much aligned on values, and they asked me to help them to launch out in the UK, so I couldn't say no.
Because I met the Sunlighten guys a few years ago, didn't I, in America? And I mean, full disclosure, Sunlighten and Zestology have kind of partnered up, and I'm bloody pleased about that. But I really straight away was totally sold by what they were saying, particularly because I'm such an EMF geek, and I thought all the stuff about EMFs was like really good. They were really open about it, really transparent, do loads of testing. It's ultra low EMF in here, which is great. But when I met them, they weren't doing anything in the UK, so that's quite a big thing for them.
I mean, I think the UK oh, of course. And I feel very fortunate that I was in the right place at the right time, but as well as to work with them, because just as a company, the values and the way they treat their staff, and just everything is they really are truly a wellness company inside out, and really great people to work with. But
that's really nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is really nice. When people walk the walk as well as talk the talk, and you don't
Not very
always
common.
find that in wellness.
That's true.
And do you combine? Okay, so you're now kind of doing Sunlighten in the UK, and you're still a huge fan yourself, right? You're still doing. Do you do it every day or most days?
Yeah, I try to get in there every day.
What time of day would you do that? I mean, because obviously you're busy. You're running a business, but you've also got kids as well. What time's the best time to get in there?
Definitely in the evening. Sort of, a lot of people don't like to go in after dinner, but I'd like to do it just before I go to bed. And I find it really, I'm able to switch off.
Yeah.
So I put my blue blockers on.
Oh, perfect.
And get in there.
You've got your Oura ring, you've got your blue blocker. You are properly brought to you by Zestology. That is brilliant.
And I find that it really helps me to, it's interesting because although you feel quite relaxed and calm, it's also a feeling of almost rejuvenation and euphoria afterwards, and so it's a really nice way to end the day. And is yours outside or is it in the house? No, it's inside.
Okay, so you don't kind of go outside for a blast of cold air afterwards?
No, not lucky.
And then do you kind of combine it with other things like intermittent fasting? Or I know you are into intermittent fasting, aren't you?
Yeah, very much.
But by the time you go into the sauna, you'll have eaten dinner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although, I feel fine on it because obviously I'm not, that's, how I work. But a lot of people do it first thing in the morning or prefer to use it before dinner. Often on the weekend, though, what I might do is wake up and use a rebounder first. Yeah. And then jump in the sauna.
Is that like one of those trampoline things?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Have you got one of them?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
They're fantastic.
And Faith loves those as well. So it's amazing exercise, isn't it? Just like being on a kids' trampoline. Yeah,
but it's amazing for your lymphatic system, and it just kind of makes you really happy. So it sort of gets the lymphatic system going, and then it's a really good precursor to the sauna.
Yeah.
And often I'll dry body brush before going in.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's right. So there's a little bit of kind of Western workout, a little bit of Chinese medicine in there, and a little bit of Sunlighten sauna at the end.
Yeah.
And then I can imagine that you're pretty hungry after that.
The sauna definitely makes me feel hungry.
Yeah, well, it's like a workout, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be ravenous after this, no doubt. What about, I mean, one of the things that I'm really interested in is detox and saunas. I've kind of known for quite some time that I kind of want to do a bit more detox, and I can feel myself detoxing when I go in my sauna. I was telling you before we started recording that actually I really have noticed the detox effect, and so I'm going quite gently with the sauna sessions at the moment. I'm doing quite light sessions, a quite short amount, which I know is the kind of advice you start slowly and kind of build up, and that feels perfect for me. I also feel very grateful that I'm able to do that because I can tell I need it. But there's a lot of research on how you detox with an infrared sauna, and I wondered if you could just remind me of how infrared works differently to just a normal hot box in your local gym, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. So detoxification is probably, the cornerstone of what we're doing here. So the difference between a regular sauna or a Finnish sauna or to an infrared is that with a Finnish sauna, it's actually heating the air around you. Whereas in an infrared sauna, I'll just speak specifically for Sunlighten, is that the sauna is actually heating the body at the core. So with detoxification, the wavelength that you're most looking at is far infrared. And so with the far infrared rays, they will penetrate the deepest into the body. And we know with Sunlighten that we're raising the core body temperature by roughly 3 degrees. And so what that does is, initiate a very deep detoxifying sweat, creates that hypothermia, that false fever. So it also will ward off bugs and other illnesses.
Really?
So if you feel yourself getting sick, jump into your infrared sauna and it'll prevent that. And so as your core body temperature is raised, and you're able to detox, roughly about 20% of the sweat is going to be toxins, toxic compounds, anything that really shouldn't be in your body. Whereas with a Finnish sauna, it's a more superficial sweat where it's about 97% water that you're sweating. So some people will often feel a bit nauseous if they've spent a long time in a Finnish sauna, and that could be because they have their toxins are freely being circulated around the body,
but they're not coming out.
Not really coming out, or will take a bit longer to come out through the the normal avenues. Whereas with the infrared, it's able to penetrate a lot deeper.
I've really noticed the detox effect. That's amazing. And so why is it, why do we actually need to detox? I suppose often there might be like a heavy metal build up, or we might have just eaten too many McDonald's on holiday, or whatever it might be. I wouldn't be eating McDonald's on holiday, but other people might be. But there is this need to detox, isn't there, for most people, but especially people living in cities with exhaust fumes and all the rest of it.
Yeah, absolutely. The vast majority of us really, unfortunately, these days need to detox regularly, and it is that toxic buildup which is what ends up causing many of the diseases that we have. Not to mention inflammation, which the sauna is also going to be very effective at reducing. So, just back to detox, people who have heavy metal, a lot of heavy metals in their system can use the sauna, and it is very effective at that. People who have Lyme, and the cases of Lyme have just increased, skyrocketed.
Yeah, especially in America. About half the listeners to this are in America, so that's very relevant for Lyme.
Yeah.
Are you going to be at Paleo FX this year?
I am personally not, but our team
not?
will be. No.
Oh, that's a shame.
Unfortunately.
I'm hoping to go.
Yeah.
I think I've got a pass.
Oh.
But I remember probably when I met the Sunlighten guys a couple of years ago, or maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I went there, and for anyone who doesn't know, it's a big health kind of conference / festival really in Austin in Texas, isn't it? It's great fun. And one of the things I decided to do was get a heavy metal test I think it was from Quicksilver. Have you heard of Quicksilver?
Oh yeah, I love
Quicksilver. They're very, very good, and they do like a really comprehensive test. And they said, okay, what it is if you want to do the proper test for mercury and the heavy metals, and all the other heavy metals, you've got to do wee and blood and hair.
Oh.
Great. Because they just want to cover all the bases, basically. And apparently you detox different types of heavy metals in different parts of the body. So anyway, wee was fine, the blood was fine, and then he cut a huge chunk out the back of my head. It was like, I look ridiculous. I said to my friend Ryan, does it look all right? And he was like, wow, you look like you had a really dodgy haircut.
Oh no.
But anyway, so I got the testing back, and it all came up pretty low, apart from mercury, which came up very high.
Oh right.
As in the top, in the worst 20% of mercury. So that's another reason I feel very grateful to be able to use a Sunlighten sauna every day, because I know I need it. It's just got to come out. There's all sorts of reasons that the mercury could go in there in the first place, but you got to get it out. I haven't got fillings or anything like that, but this is the right place to get it out.
Absolutely, and people are so unaware. Dr. Mark Hyman himself had apparently high mercury levels, and he used actually one of our saunas to detox, and he was equally very pleased that he could detox them out with the sauna. But
I am too, and also you kind of you feel like it's working when you do feel a bit of a detox reaction. Like I've felt this with a few things. I felt it with methylated vitamins and sulforaphane and the sauna. I know I need it more because I do get that slight reaction, but that means I just go slow.
Yes.
Just start off with a short session and see how you go, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, it's really important with the infrared that you start slowly and you build up, and often there are many of our families who get the saunas and just not very well at all, but will gradually build up to that 45 minutes in the session.
Great.
As they adjust. Yes, and feel better.
I think you are seeing me at my most unattractive visual. I'm really starting to sweat. I mean, it feels great, actually. I'm really feeling good. I genuinely am really feeling good. It's just so nice in here. And we haven't got it on I don't think we've got it on the hottest setting, have we?
Not at all.
No.
We're about halfway there.
Yeah, but it's just lovely, isn't it? And especially in the British winter. I want to ask you about kind of books and tips in just a sec, but you did mention, some people who get the sauna, some people get it for lifestyle, some people get it because they're at 98% and they want to get to 100%, and some people get it because they're really ill, don't they? I interviewed someone called Laura Bond who wrote a book called Mum's Not Having Chemo, and she went and did loads of non-conventional or non-traditional cancer treatments, including infrared saunas, and she absolutely raves about it. You do get quite a lot of ill people, and actually I met someone who was I used to use, I don't think there was, in the past there were hardly any infrared saunas in London at all of any make. I remember there was one at a yoga studio I used to go and use just because it was free. I don't know whether it was it probably wasn't as posh as this or as nice as this, but I remember meeting someone there who'd been seriously ill, and she said she was getting the train down from Cambridge 3 times a week just to use that sauna because she couldn't find one anywhere else.
Yes. I could rattle off story after story of
I'd love
families
to hear one.
that have rung us, and I mean, one that comes to mind was a lady who had just been diagnosed with second stage breast cancer for the second time, and really was very touched by her story, but she had tried so many different types of treatment this was alongside conventional treatment, and we managed to get an impulse out to her, and obviously that not just from a physiological perspective, but I think that relaxation also very much helps people being able to cope mentally with what they're dealing with as well. Also rheumatoid arthritis, my gosh.
Really?
People with rheumatoid, I've had one of my very first families who bought a sauna from me, who we're very, very good friends with actually now. She was being hospitalized about 3 to 4 times a week. In pain, in her joints, and in inflamed joints, and anyway, she was in a really, really bad way. I mean,
it affects. I've got a really good friend who's got rheumatoid arthritis, and it's the inflammation. But I didn't realise.
Yeah, no, invite them around to use your sauna.
Really?
Absolutely.
Do you think she might notice an instant benefit as well as a long-term one?
Absolutely. So pain relief is something that she will notice.
No way.
Well, yes, for sure.
Wow.
So here in your sauna, you've got the near and the mid and the far infrared.
Yeah.
The near and the mid infrared are what are going to really penetrate into the muscles and the tissues and help to bring down that inflammation. And it is very instant.
Okay, because on that settings tab, on the health programs, should go for pain relief.
She would go for pain relief. Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Yeah.
And we know that rheumatoid arthritis has a immune element.
Right.
And so what's really good about the sauna is it's working more superficially to reduce inflammation and to reduce pain. But of course, it is helping detoxification. And we know that rheumatoid arthritis is, you need to be exercising regularly and eating fairly well to stay on top of the symptoms. And the sauna is a very good addition to that, because you're detoxing, and so you're internally. It's a
good part of the health regime.
Absolutely,
isn't it?
Absolutely.
And your friend who has rheumatoid arthritis, is it he or she?
She,
and she's found some good benefits, has she?
Oh yeah, I mean, she's just about to upgrade her sauna with us to a bigger one, and she was very, very grateful for the results. Obviously, it's not a cure-all, but she sees it as a very big part of her overall regime and managing her condition. So, I mean, I think Lady Gaga has,
Does she?
Yes, has a couple of our saunas.
Lady Gaga,
and
that's amazing.
Yeah, and she has been through some very difficult times with her health, and obviously someone who has to manage it and who's obviously operating at a very high level in her career. And, it's just another tool that she uses to manage her life.
Yeah, I love it when you hear about celebrities who kind of get involved in these alternative... I recorded a podcast recently in a cryotherapy chamber, and Professor Green goes in there and uses it every single day.
Oh, what?
He absolutely loves it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Get Professor Green a sauna.
Oh, yeah.
He'll probably be in there every day as well.
Okay, we'll try and arrange that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Wow. Okay, that's really interesting. And yeah, I mean, as you say, it's not a kind of catch-all. It's not going to cure. I mean, when I was talking about my friend who wrote Mum's Not Having Chemo, she was very quick to kind of emphasise the fact that, look, this is not... It's not necessarily something you might do it alongside chemotherapy, for example. It's not going to cure cancer tomorrow if you get in it, but there are some clinical studies that show that heat can help shrink cancer cells. And I'm not look, I know I'm paraphrasing a bit there, but if you are someone who's suffering from something serious, an illness or a disease, you may want to look at the actual clinical studies, and it'll be explained a lot better than me saying it shrinks the cells. But I mean, it's worth looking for, isn't it?
There's definitely some evidence to suggest that it shrinks cancer cells. But the main thing to keep in mind is, even from a preventative perspective, we can say on the basis of clinical studies it will reduce your blood pressure. So a lot of people who get high blood pressure diagnosis from the doctor, and who they get told, okay, just go and eat well and exercise, and people don't know where to start. Often hopping into a sauna can kickstart that process for them to be feeling a bit better, lose a little bit of weight, and we know that it's going to reduce their blood pressure for sure. We know it's going to help you lose weight. We know that it's going to help with pain relief and mobility. But yeah, so from a preventative perspective, if you're constantly also detoxing and you're staying on top of your detox, then you are going to be preventing a lot of things that could potentially happen.
It's funny because we've got through about 35-40 minutes now, and I thought I was going to be absolutely knackered. I know we haven't got it on hottest setting, but I feel great. I feel really energised.
Yeah, well, that's the idea.
I'm sweating a bit more than you, I think.
Yeah, I think you are.
You're just used to it more.
Yeah, I don't think you can see
Look
it.
at me, this is ridiculous. It's actually pouring off me. Now you know, like, why I kind of go easy.
Yeah.
But it's really nice. I feel good.
And that's what I also love about it, because you can stay in, and it's not a struggle.
Yeah, so it's definitely not. It's very, very different sensation from a normal sauna.
Yeah.
If people are in the UK, we're recording this at the moment in Booty in Richmond, aren't we?
Yeah.
Which is a yoga studio, but people can come and have a go.
Yes, please nice. Come and try it out and get addicted.
Yeah. Right, now one question I've asked everyone is, what is one book that you would recommend and one tip for living with more energy? I wonder if it's going to be the sauna, the Sunlighten Sauna. What are you going to go for?
Okay, so I'll answer the book question. I recently finished Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. I've just ordered all his other books because I loved it so much. Oh, it is absolutely... I think it's what I really needed to read, but it's an excellent book. So I would highly recommend it. One tip.
I've not read anything by Ryan Holiday.
Oh, really?
But I've heard of him many times, so maybe I need to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check
it.
Yeah.
One tip. Is it infrared sauna?
I'm trying to think of something else.
It's okay. You can say infrared sauna if you want. I mean, obviously, I know you use the blue blockers, and I know you intermittent fast. I know you got the Oura ring as well. But if the sauna is the thing, that's okay. It's the thing that's made the biggest impact to you, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, okay, fine. Yeah, for me, I guess I would say it's using an infrared sauna. I mean, it literally it's changed my life. It's changed the course of my life. This is, I had no idea I'd be ending up here, but I'm very passionate about people.
You had no idea you'd be ending up in a small, sweaty wooden box with a heavily perspiring man sitting next to you recording a podcast.
That I did not foresee.
No. I'm actually going to do more podcasts in the sauna because this is really good fun.
You should.
I mean, it's a really nice format.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the lovely lighting on and we got the screen on. It's just nice, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, you can get your detox.
Yeah.
Do your podcast.
Do all at the same time.
Everything at the same time.
Well, I've already been doing the podcast intros in the
Yeah.
sauna, but now this is just taking it to a next level, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good. Well, it's great to see you and great to record this podcast. We're meeting up in a couple of days, aren't we, to go to Kew Gardens,
Yeah,
weather
really
permitting.
Absolutely.
But where can people find out more about Sunlighten, about you, if they want to ask you any questions? Obviously, it's I mean, you know, I've not tried to sugarcoat it on the podcast. They're not cheap. They're an investment, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think the thing to remember is that not all infrared saunas are created equal. And there is a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of, there's a lot to sort of figure out. But what is most important to keep in mind is that you need to speak to somebody who knows what they're talking about to find out which is the right sauna for you personally.
Yeah.
Not everyone needs the sauna that you have.
Yeah.
But we can definitely help people to discover, what they need. And we have a range of budgets. We have a range of solutions. So if people want to know more, please do get in touch. Our website is sunlightensaunas.co.uk. There's chat on there. You can email us, call us, and just more than happy to answer questions as well. And yes, what we're here for, to really educate people as to, what really medical grade infrared saunas are about.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, I've really enjoyed this podcast, and we've also learnt that my normal recording equipment, the Marantz PMD 620, is an absolute wuss when it comes to the sauna. It lasted about 9 minutes, but the humble iPhone has done the job, hasn't it?
Yeah, the iPhone's still there.
But yeah, and I genuinely do. I'm not just making it up. I thought I'd be knackered at the end of this, and I feel really energised. So let's record another one soon.
Yeah, can't wait.
And Joie, thank you very much for coming on Zestology.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That is it. Thank you to Joie, and thank you for listening as well. Definitely check out Sunlighten. And as I say, full disclosure, I've been partnering up with Sunlighten for a while, and it's really good to only talk about the stuff that I kind of use and I like anyway. It just makes it so easy. So yes, check out sunlightensaunas.co.uk, and sure Joie will be very happy to talk more. I might do another podcast in the sauna at some point soon, because it worked out okay. Not feeling too knackered. We'll see how I am at 11:55 tonight. If you would like to get my 3 Zesty Things newsletter, you can head to tonywrighton.com. Get an email every Monday morning with some of this stuff that I'm doing, the hacks, tips and tricks that work for me, and almost time for me to get on the bus. So cheerio for now. Thanks for listening to Zestology, and I'll see you next time.